So, I don't know when you're watching this, but the time I'm filming this, I'm going to be doing something new. What that is exactly? Civics Sunday, number 1. I'm going to be talking about something that underlies a lot of my philosophy as far as how government should function, what it should be doing, and this is this idea that I'm calling states' responsibilities. And a lot of what I'm going to be saying, other people have said before. I'm not sure if they've necessarily put it in this context, but I think that it's an approach to government that will work for the majority of the people in America, regardless of what your politics are. So to start, let me just be blunt. The federal government is too fucking big. It does too much. Our federal government cannot be all things to all people. And it's actually getting in the way of everyone's progress, both conservative and liberal agendas alike. I mean, example, marijuana is legal in some form in a majority of the states. It's legal recreationally here in my lovely utopia of California and a handful of other states. However, it's still federally illegal, and that's interfering with the growth of the marijuana business. Pun intended, I guess. It was there. Low-hanging fruit. Maybe that was a pun too. That was also a pun too. But back to my point. So, the legal marijuana business can generate billions of dollars. But because marijuana is still illegal federally, everything has to be done in cash because the banks don't want to touch drug money. So now we have a billion-dollar industry being done in cash. A substance that is legal in the majority of states, the federal government still says is illegal. Is that not problematic to anyone else? Yeah. I'll tell you, as another problem, I am paying for federal services that I am already receiving from my state. So, real specific example, employment laws. There are federal employment laws, there are federal minimum wage laws, there are federal health and safety standards, there are federal anti-discrimination laws, there are steps that need to be taken to enforce those laws, and California has its own version of those laws, which are just as protective and often even more protective of employees than the federal standards. So, if an employee sues an employer here in California, it's usually under the California laws because, again, they're more protective of employees. However, my tax dollars are still going to the federal government for laws and protections that I and my neighbors and everyone else in my state doesn't use. That's money that could be better spent in state. Why does my tax dollars have to go outside of my state for federal programs that I don't get the benefit of? Oddly enough, the states where those federal laws are most relevant are states that don't have their own parallel protections. They're states that don't want to offer those protections to their residents. And I'm at the point where I feel like, okay, fine. I'm done here. This is what I propose. The federal government be completely stripped down so that it's only doing things that the states cannot do for itself. Like national defense. We still need a military. We still need an FBI and CIA. We still need to regulate interstate trade. there's still a role for the federal government, but by and large, our protections should come from our states. They shouldn't come from our federal government. So a side effect of reducing the size of the federal government is that the federal government does not need to tax us as highly as it does now. So under what I'm proposing, the federal government would only tax us for costs of the military, costs of maintaining the FBI, CIA, other protective agencies, other things that the states cannot do for themselves. And while we're at it, let's include a tax to go towards reducing the federal deficit. Since that needs to get tackled at some point, why not address it now? My point is that under my plan, your federal taxes will be much lower than they are right now. But where the issue is that you're also not going to be receiving nearly the same federal services that you're receiving right now. So the states are going to be asked to step up their protections. And that's not going to be free. So the states need to determine for themselves, whether these federal services, whether these federal protections are something that they wish to continue, and if so, what's the best way to pay for them? Maybe it'll be an income tax. Maybe it'll be a sales tax. Maybe it'll be an increase in property taxes. But at least the population will have some input as far as how the taxes are raised. And they have a voice as far as how their government is being financed. If my plan works the way that I think it would work, what should happen is that there will be a few states that will be very progressive, and they are also going to be high-tax states because a lot of tax dollars are going to be needed to support the government programs. You'll have some states that are very conservative, very small government, and likewise, their state taxes are going to be very low. And there should be a number of states that are somewhere in the middle. But in all of the states, policies can be adopted to address the needs of that particular state. No more one size fits all. It can be narrowly tailored to address very specific concerns and issues. We can have a government which is much more responsive to us than the one that we have right now. I know what I'm proposing comes with some problems. So, what do I say to the person who doesn't want to pay higher taxes but lives in a state where they anticipate their taxes would go up under my plan? What do I say to someone who, for example, is a minority and lives in a state where they are afraid that they're going to be losing their legal protections and might be open to discrimination? Well, I have 3 possible ways for you to address your problems. So, first is do nothing. And I suppose that if you're concerned, doing nothing is an untenable position. So, number 2 is use your voice, use your free speech, go out and try and get people to your side. Try and use the political system. Try and use your representative democracy to make your voice heard. And crazy things can happen. No one would have thought that a Democrat could become a senator in Alabama, but it happened. Strange things can happen in politics. But the third solution, the one that I think is most realistic, is you move to a state that fits your ideology. If you feel like government should offer more protections to its citizens, move to a state that offers more protections to its citizens. If you want to live in a state where the government is more hands-off with its citizens, move to that state. Under my model, there's a place for everyone, for everyone's political ideology. We can all win on a local level. We just need to move to the place that fits us if it's really that important. Now, what if you can't afford to move? Well, the state that you want to move to could possibly help. They could offer tax breaks for new citizens. They can reduce regulations so that new homes can be built. They can entice new businesses to come in so there's a need for new employees. Or we can just take it on ourselves and start a nonprofit dedicated to helping people that want to move into your state, move into your state. You can start GoFundMes. I mean, we have limitless ways to connect and help each other these days. If people truly feel like they need to leave their state for their own freedom, for their own protection, there are ways that can be accomplished in this modern world we live in. So, TLDR, I think that states need to take more responsibility for protecting their citizens. We need to stop relying on the federal government to govern everything. We are such a large country, and we have such diverse views on what government should be doing, what services should be provided, how those services should be provided, how they should be paid for. We can't have this one-size-fits-all approach anymore under the federal system. The states need to be given some freedom to implement their own policies, and that necessarily means scrapping a number of the federal policies so that that money can then be rediverted on a local level. Now, I could be off on any number of my assumptions. If you think I was, let me know, but don't just say, hey Marv, you're fucking wrong. You should also say why I'm wrong. What am I misassuming? Where am I off? Because I am trying to find something that will work for everyone. It may be impossible, but god damn it, I'm going to try. Unless I don't like the response to this video, in which case I may not do this ever again. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But anyway, I'm Marv. Thanks for spending several moments with me. If you like this video, give it a like. If you like the idea behind the video, discuss it with friends. Discuss it with family members. Get that idea out there. We deserve a government that works for us. We live in a democracy, and fundamental to our democracy, any democracy, is a belief that it represents us and our views. If we don't have that, we don't have a functioning democracy. Let's make sure we have a functioning democracy. Until next time, be good to each other.